Welcome, everyone, to the second review of the Superhero Chronicles, and this will be on the Wolverine, which is the second solo movie to feature the self-titled character Wolverine. The first one being X-Men Origins Wolverine, and the less we talk about that, the better, because X-Men Origins Wolverine, while it's not a horrible movie, but you can clearly tell by watching it, it was a complete and utter waste of potential. Something that could have been great ended up being very half-assed. And thankfully this movie was made because this is the Wolverine movie that should have been made in the first place. This movie is directed by James Mangold, and for those of you who have never heard of the man's name, he did the Johnny Cash biopic Walk the Line, starring Joaquin Phoenix and Reese Witherspoon. And for those who haven't seen Walk the Line, I highly recommend you watch Walk the Line because it is a awesome movie. Walk the Line is such a good movie. It is pretty much the biopic, pretty much about Johnny Cash, obviously. But anyway, let's talk about the Wolverine. Wolverine pretty much starts off. Wolverine pretty much takes place after the events of X-Men: The Last Stand, and you see Wolverine, who is pretty much a broken man. Of course, at the end of Last Stand, for those of you who've never seen it, Jean Grey goes completely bonkers and is consumed by the Phoenix, and Wolverine had to stop her by killing her. And pretty much post those events, since he had to kill the woman he loved, it isolated him from pretty much everything else, and he pretty much made a vow to never take another life again. That's the general crux of it. But what I really want to talk about is that Wolverine, this movie is, I'm going to say, when you watch this movie, it is a precursor to the rated R superhero movie. This is a dark movie. It's got a serious dark tone to it. It's extremely violent movie. It has a lot of violence, especially the extended director's cut. One can only wish that the director's cut was one that the original director's version was one that was released in theaters, because that would have got an R. That particular version of the movie would have got an R. This, in my opinion, this movie is the unofficial first R-rated X-Men movie. Not, of course, Deadpool's the official one. This is the unofficial. My opinion, this is the unofficial R-rated X-Men movie because this movie deserved to have an R rating. It deserved to have an R rating because this is the story mandate. The story deserved it. The way it was shot and executed, it deserved it. Everything about this movie should have been an R. Not a hard R, but just have the R rating because this Wolverine at his lowest of the low. He is completely low. Yeah, anyway, story goes as this. Now I give you a little bit of backdrop. This is the basic plot line. The film opens up in Nagasaki during but moments before the first atomic bomb is about to drop, and Wolverine saves this Japanese soldier whose name is Yoshida. And flash forward, years later, Yoshida is now an old man. He's dying, and he makes a request to see the man who saved his life all those years ago, Wolverine. Basically, Yoshida wants to return the favor to Wolverine. Yoshida knows that Wolverine's a mutant and has the ability of the healing factor and the ability to have longevity. What Yoshida wants is to take away Logan's healing factor, and so he can have it, so he could have it. And he wants to give Wolverine what he cannot have, which is mortal, which should be mortal, to live life, to finally live his life and not have to live in so much pain, and to die an honorable death and not to suffer anymore. Of course, Logan is against this idea, mainly because he does not want anyone to have what he has. That's the general crux of the movie. That's the MacGuffin. That's the plot. That's the plot that gets it rolling. What this movie does so effectively is that Of course, as the movie goes on, Wolverine's healing factor is indeed taken away from him, and pretty much this movie, you see Logan, Logan as a human being, as vulnerability can be. He is at his lowest of the low. He is basically mortal. He gets shot multiple times, and he feels it. He gets hit, he feels it. I mean, yeah, he still has the adamantium skeleton, but that could only do so much without his healing factor, because he feels pain in this movie. And there are multiple times in this movie where Wolverine is, well, you don't think Wolverine can survive whatever he's going through, and the directing is so outstanding. It's not even funny. James Mangold is a very it's a very perfect choice to take the mantle of the solo Wolverine movies, because the man knows how to direct. He's very, it's my opinion, he's a very nuanced director. You know, like he balances out the. This movie has a lot of heavy, it's very heavy in terms of its drama, but it's also quite funny. But it's also got a lot of funny bits, and it's not stupid funny, which is in a lot of movies, particularly comic movies, that I have an issue with. Is the comedy is very awkwardly integrated in a lot of them, but in this one, the comedy is very natural in my opinion. And the comedy serves the story, and it's something that you can expect, because Logan is in a country that he's not familiar with, which is Japan. Well, I mean, yeah, he was there during World War II, but he was there as a soldier. He wasn't there as a vacationer, so to speak. So when Logan is like trying to learn the customs of the Japanese culture, it's a little bit humorous because he doesn't understand them. I mean, and of course, throughout the course of the movie, he learns to respect them. He learns to respect the culture and of course, there are some things in the culture that he doesn't agree with. When he finds out that Mariko, who is the love interest in this movie, and finds out that Mariko is to be wed to the Minister of Justice as an arranged marriage, you can have a look at his face that he's like, "Wow, you shouldn't do that. That's not good." But being that this is Japanese culture, to dishonor your father is to disobey your father is to dishonor him. And Mariko, brought up in the Japanese culture, that would be cannot disrespect her father, because that's her father. Logan, of course, being a from North America, Canada, but still part of North America, having what we have, the free will, of course, that learns to understand the culture that learns to understand it's a different culture, and it's really good. And like, it doesn't make fun of the Japanese culture at all. In my opinion, it really, in my opinion, it doesn't make fun of the culture. It makes people like get a better understanding of, like, it really is a culture clash, and Logan learns to appreciate that culture, which is great, because he doesn't disrespect it at all. Of course, there's also the character of Yukio, who is a precog and is also Mariko's friend slash adopted sister. Yuriko is a badass character. There is a scene near the end where her and Sinjin, who is who's Mariko's father, have a badass sword fight, and it's brutal sword fight too. It's like a classic samurai sword fight, and it's awesome. It's one of the best sword fights. It's like one of the best. It's like, this movie does not have a lot of fight scenes, and that's what makes it even better, because it's a story. It's story over action, and it really tries to validate itself, and it does a great job at doing so, because the story mandates the action, not the action mandates the story, which is how movies should be. The story should mandate the action and how the action should play out, not the other way around. Because then you have an action movie with no substance. But in this movie, the actions have substance because the story is building to those actions, which is how it should be. Which is how it should be. And this is what, in my opinion, this is what makes it probably my second favorite X-Men movie The first being Days of Futures Past. The third being Deadpool, because I love that movie. But Wolverine is in that second. Is second. This movie right here is second to none. The performances are rock solid. Hugh Jackman has always puts on a great performance. The actresses who played Yukio and Mariko, for first timers, they did a fantastic job. Uh, this cast is primarily a Japanese cast, and they all do exceptionally well. They all do really well, actually. I actually like the character of Shinjin, who is Mariko's father. Once again, he wants to take over his father. Of course, Shinjin is the father of Yashida, and Yashida, who I said is dying. Of course, Shinjin wants to take over his father's company for his own personal needs, but Yashida does not trust Shinjin because Shinjin is a let's just say is one of those men that wants power. He's greedy for power, but he's not that archetypal of a villain though. Because he's more sinister than that. Shinjin is in the movie. Shinjin pretty much orders a hit on his own daughter just so he can get control of a company. The man is sadistic and diabolical, but at the same time, because he's Japanese, he has that warped code of honor or something like that, which my opinion makes him quite a fascinating character. I really wish you, and in the extended cut, you get a little bit more bits with him. Especially, of course, you also see that he's also quite jealous, a little bit jealous of Wolverine, as his father, as a child, would tell him stories of Wolverine, who they call uh, Kaziri, which is I think means meat monster or beast in Japanese. I'm sorry. And of course, Shinjin, believing these to be fairy tales, of course, actually meets Wolverine and just you could tell this by his face, complete disdain for him. And of course, those moments build up to the eventual fight between the two, and they have they have a really badass fight with amazing cinematography. The cinematography in the Shinjin Wolverine fight near the end is beautiful. Uh, which, as you can see right now, I love the cinematography. I love Mangold's directing. It's so simple. This movie has shaky cam, but it doesn't have a lot of shaky cam, which is what I like about it, because the camera is just there. The camera's there. You see it's not shaking around. It's steady. It's rock solid. And it lets the performance itself play out without having to add a shaky cam gimmick to it. And the scenes look fantastic. It looks phenomenal. Another reason why I love this movie, and I love the reason why James Mangold is becoming one of my favorite directors, because the man knows how to direct, and he knows how to direct the right way and not the dumb way. I'm talking to you, Brett Ratner. No, of course, the elephant. Of course, also throughout the course of the movie, Logan has like these. I want to say visions, in his as visions of seeing Jean, and of course, riddled by the guilt of having to kill the woman he loves, he sees Jean, and throughout the course of this movie, pretty much, Jean is trying to get in Logan's mind. Jean is trying to get Logan to join her in the afterlife so that they can be together. And of course, Logan does not want to get to that moment, to get to that part. Or he wants to get there, but he doesn't know how to get there. And throughout the course of the movie, you see Logan's journey to finally accepting the fact that he is the Wolverine, he is who he is, and he basically learns to live with that. And the movie does that in a very, very good, in a very, very nice way. Of course, my main issue with this movie is the twist ending. When you find out Yashida was behind the whole plot, diabolical plot. And I don't like it. It didn't jive with me because pretty much from the start of the movie all the way up to that, Yashida is put in the light as like this good man, as this kind man. And then this twist comes out of left field, and to me, it doesn't jive with me now. It didn't jive then. It didn't jive now. I don't like it. There's so many other things you could have done with it. Harada. who is the actual Silver Samurai in this movie. And he's a pretty good character, but he's like an archer character who is sworn to protect the house of Yashida. And he's also the original Silver Samurai in the comics. I would have preferred just to have him use the mechanical suit and have him and Wolverine have a fight. Or, hell, fuck it. I would have taken the Silver Samurai to be robotic instead of having this twist. I just didn't like the twist. It didn't jive with me. It overall, it doesn't break the movie. It doesn't make the movie bad. In just my opinion, it just makes the, in my opinion, it just didn't gel with me. But overall, I give Wolverine a solid 9 out of 10. It is worth watching. The directing is great. The script is solid. The acting is on point. The special effects are great. The character progression of Wolverine is exactly what it needed to be. And if you haven't seen it, see it. And this has been another edition of the Superhero Chronicles. Like, comment, subscribe, and share this video. And I'll see you again next time for more. Later.